Բարև սիրելի բարեկամներ, անգամ եւս կողջունեմ ձեզ AMGA հերոստանգերության հիմնական հաղորդաշարով։ Այսօրվա մեր ծրագիրը պիտի լինի անգլերենով, որովհետեւ եւ հյուրս ամերիկացի է եւ մենք պիտի խոսենք այսօր հարաճիկա ընտրություններու մասին։ Dear viewers, you're watching AMGA channel, Himnakar show. Himnakar, translated into English, means cornerstone. We strongly believe that a healthy family is the cornerstone of healthy society. Therefore, it is my honor, and I really appreciate, because he's busier than me, but he agreed to come and be my guest, Mr. Scott M. Schmerelson.
Correct. Thank you, Steve.
Yes, so let me introduce to you. I know many of you know him already, because I was in an event and they said, he's our dad, because he goes to schools and he talks to people. And yes, so let me just introduce to you, to those who don't know, and there are only few I know for sure. He's a board member of Los Angeles Unified School District, and he belongs to the third district.
Board District 3.
Board District 3. And also, he's the vice chair, the vice president of the board.
Correct.
Okay, so how was my introduction?
Beautiful. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
So, Scott, you have been a teacher, a counselor, an assistant principal, and a principal. How have this experience shaped your thinking about what schools need to work well?
Well, schools are the center of the community.
Yes.
And the classroom is the center of the school. I visit all of my schools, 105 of them, North Hollywood to Porter Ranch. Right. I visit every single one of my schools every single year, and I make sure that good education is taking place in all of the classrooms.
That's true. That's very true. How have you ever experienced in varied schools help you understand what are the most important investments that school needs?
Mm-hmm. I know that every family, no matter who they are, no matter their religion, no matter their ethnicity, no matter their wealth, they all want the best education for their children.
That's true.
And I make sure that that happens in our schools. I make sure that, for example, schools that really need supplies get the supplies. I make sure that schools that have the ability to have fundraisers, like at PTA, I make sure that the right things are bought at these things. I can tell just by visiting a classroom whether it's a happy place, a learning place, or we need to work on this.
Wonderful. Beautiful. I'm sure you spend a lot of time visiting schools, as you mentioned. How does this help you become a better board member?
Oh, boy. I was a teacher, as you said, and I know, I can tell right away whether the teacher and the students are connecting. And if they're not connecting, I will talk to the principal and say, you know, this is what I think we need to work on to help the teacher to connect better with the kids.
Beautiful. As you see, I have prepared some questions, and you know, you're answering it so well that you're running out of my questions.
Well, let me talk a little bit about the Armenian community in my area.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Yes.
My board, District 3, has a very large Armenian community in the San Fernando Valley, and I'm very proud of them. Right. And I make sure that I go to all the Armenian events and make sure that things are happening in their schools too. For example, not in my area, but in the northern area, we have a dual language, Armenian English. We have French English, Spanish English, Mandarin English. We have all of that. But I make sure that also I'm trying to get Armenian dual language in my area too, and I'm sure I can do that. It's very important for me that the students understand about the Armenian genocide. And it's very hard for you to believe that when I talk to people about the Armenian genocide, they don't even know what it was. They have no idea.
Right.
So people need to be educated.
Sure.
And that's one of the reasons why I, along with Kelly Gonez, who was the board member for Board District 3, came with the resolution for the 24th of April to be a pupil-free day, a school-free day where students can learn and understand about the Armenian genocide and what it meant. Very, very important.
Scott, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you on behalf of the Armenian community that you did really very important. Education, it's most powerful tool that we can give to our next generation.
Absolutely.
So, because paroles like never again and should not be repeated, why this happened and so on, those can be only in the books when students, the young generation, will not, get it and hear with your, of course, with your input and help. This resolution just makes people think who never knew about Armenian, they never heard about Armenian, will say, son, why you're not in the school today? And they will say, well, today is the Armenian Genocide Day. And they say, who are these Armenian? And the kid is going to teach his own father whatever he or she learned in the school.
And the father will also teach his friends and relatives about what happened.
Yes.
I always tell the children, when the Armenian genocide happened, and Hitler was then in the 30s planning to have the Holocaust, the extermination of all the Jews. And someone said, well, how can you do that? People are going to know what you're doing. And he said, whoever remembers the Armenian genocide. So when I think about that, the Armenian genocide about 105 years ago, and the Holocaust 80-some years ago, if we recognized the Armenian genocide, perhaps the Holocaust would never have happened.
Yes, because imagine this, in 1915, during the World War I, because June 28, 1914, after the Sarajevo incident, let me put this way, the Crown Prince Franz Ferdinand was shot in Sarajevo, and this is how the Habsburgs declared war against the Serbs, and then Russians came in and so on. And while it was the whole world facing the First World War, everybody was against everybody, and suddenly people took advantage to annihilate, because the word genocide, genocide, was created by Lemkin. Lemkin was a Jew, an attorney, who right after the Armenian genocide, he coined these two words. He used geno, or genos, the Greek word, and side, or sidare, the Latin word, genocide. And now, since then, everybody in the whole, in the old dictionaries, you can see the word. The same thing, the Holocaust.
Right.
Because, I mean, it is sad. It is sad. I heard all this information from my grandparents, were the survivors from Marash, from Urfa, which, like for example, my name is now Americanized, Gimian, but it's Hovagimian. 68 Hovagimians were perished during the invasion of Urfa. Only my grandfather and his sister survived to Aleppo. And I'm thinking, this is a miracle that because of this one person, now I am here with you.
That's true. Let me take it even further, Steve. another resolution that I authored
Right.
was to help the people of Artsakh.
Yes.
Let them go. Let them leave.
Right.
Let them go into Armenia.
Right.
Because I'm afraid that another genocide
Genocide
could happen.
Yes.
And people don't pay attention to these
True.
things. And
True.
children are starving.
Yes.
Adults are starving. Elderly people are starving. And we have to recognize that.
That's
so
true.
all of the board members supported me on that resolution on letting the people of Artsakh leave and go to Armenia. Very important.
Scott, thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
It is very important that we learn from each other.
Absolutely.
And so how do you think schools are helping support Armenian students?
Well, let me say that first of all, I'm the most proud of April 24th to make that a remembrance of the Holocaust. Right. We also have courses in Armenian history that's being taught in the social studies classes, because you know it's usually the big countries that get recognized. Right. England, France, Spain, right. That history is studied, but there is lots of other history that we need to know for today's world, and it's very important. So we remind people, we remind the teachers, make sure that we embed this in the lessons. And it's a good lesson to learn about tolerance.
Yes.
And understanding.
Yes, yes, indeed. And when we were every year in LA County, in our offices, we have, every month we have something to celebrate.
Right.
And also some people will say, are we celebrating? I said, you're celebrating life.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Because honestly, yes, the event itself, it was very tragic. 6 million Jews perished in Europe. That's sad. But thank God that out of this misery, people understood what's going on and came together with resolutions to stop. And hopefully the mankind, the humans, will really realize that this should never happen to anybody, to any nation, any country, any person. But sadly, we have Rwanda, we have Cambodia, we have Guatemala.
Correct.
And this is what I did. I volunteer. I know. I volunteer in Mission Hill, the Ararat home, which is one of the famous Armenian long stay where they have convalescent hospital and so on. Then I recognize this lady then, she was 104 years old.
Oh boy.
And she was the survivor of genocide. And now she's not with us anymore. But I saw a picture of her, then a Holocaust survivor, and Rwanda survivor, and Guatemala survivor, and then I have the Cambodian survivor. Then I made a big poster of it, and I took it to my place, to DPSS, and asked people, what do you see in this picture? What these people have in common? They couldn't understand it. But when I said, all of these had a genocide, had Holocaust, and people were like surprised. People even didn't know that there was a Holocaust in Guatemala. There was a Holocaust, a genocide in during the Rouge in Cambodia when in 1970s.
Correct.
Yes. So, Scott,
Khmer Rouge.
Khmer Rouge.
Yes.
Khmer Rouge.
Yes.
So
it's only through education. It's only through education that people will understand
Yes.
that this has to be stopped. And that's why we are constantly educating our children to make sure that they are aware of what happened. And education is my middle name, even though my middle name is Mark. Education.
See, that's why I see from the day one, from the first minute that we met, it clicked, because there is a good saying in Armenian says, "Naman as naman kadane." The person finds his kind. And thank you for your kind.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
So my last question is, Scott, which of your initiatives to support the Armenian community are you proudest of?
I'm proud of both initiatives,
Right.
the April 24th Day and the Artsakh, but I'm not going to stop there, because things are constantly evolving and happening, and we always must be aware and alert. And if something else happens, I'll do another resolution to make sure that people understand that they must be educated. They must stop this.
Scott, I understand you have terms in Los Angeles Unified School District, and I wish you had no terms, but next year you're going to run for the third
and last term. No, it'll be hard, but the third and last term.
Yes.
And I love my work, and I want to continue educating our students and their parents to make sure that we have a better society in Los Angeles.
Yes, and we need that.
We do.
We need that. Many people, they have a different approach. Most diverse county, which is one of the largest county in the nation.
Correct.
We are almost now 12 million. But beside that, most diverse, because I firsthand see that we have more than 168 languages in LA County, which most of them are used. I mean, imagine I supervise a calling center and helpline, and people, when they come to us and speak Urdu, I have a language line to to make sure that we, help these people. I mean, when I say whoever calls us.
Yes.
And I would go back, and I'm sorry, but people like you we need.
Thank you.
This is not a cliche. This is not just a word.
Thank you.
Because, see, teacher, counselor, vice principal, assistant principal, principal.
And board member.
And see, and you go to the schools.
Every day.
You shake their hands.
Every day.
And if they need something, you have an open door policy. And I did my research before I can do this. And everybody was saying, oh, he's this father figure. When we need something, we go there, and he makes impossible things to help us.
Thank you. All our students and all our parents are welcome in LAUSD. And I make sure that they're made to feel welcome, because if they're not, they let me know. They send me an email and they let me know, and I take care of that situation.
Any challenges?
Yes. Funding for the schools is so difficult. Education is not a high priority in any place, I think, in the United States. We are constantly having to fundraise, which is sad, to having to fundraise for the most important thing in the kids' lives, education. Yeah. But I constantly lobby for more funding from the federal government. The federal government gives a very little bit amount for our special ed kids. And it's just so difficult. And we have all these English language learners. We need the extra money to have an excellent education in our schools.
So usually, even though it says LA Unified, but the fund comes not only from the LA city, but it comes from Sacramento.
The state of California and also the federal government.
Federal too.
Right.
Okay.
But not enough.
Yes. Not
enough. Education is number one, at least for me, education is number one for improving our society and helping our kids and their parents.
Well, honestly, we are going to give the torch to the generation that they are now in the school.
That's correct.
And sometimes it bothers me when I'm thinking, am I giving them the right tool to this next generation to take over? Because we hear so many things that our education system is broken and they are not working well, and so what do you think about it?
It's not broken. It's not broken at all. Our education system needs to be improved, and it's always improved with more money for the schools to hire more people. But we are teaching our children compassion and understanding and educating them, and that's what's most important.
Scott, a question.
Yes.
What is the largest room in the world?
The largest room in
the world is what?
I don't know.
Room of improvement.
Room improvement. Thank you.
You like that?
I like it very much.
Please use this.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, because some people will say, oh, I am enough. I have enough education. I don't want more. And I say, no, I like to. Too bad. Now these days it's so expensive, the higher education. And I want to do my doctorate degree. And I want to learn. I want to study. I want to research. Believe it or not, no matter how much you learn, there are still room to.
And Steve, let me let you know that all students who graduate from LAUSD get 2 free years of community college. Right. So the first 2 years of community college are completely free, and that should whet your appetite to go on.
Is it community college just all colleges or just LA colleges?
LA community colleges.
Okay.
LA community colleges.
Yeah, because mine were, even though both of them, they were from Verdugo High and Tujunga, but they chose, because there were certain things that they chose to go to Pasadena, and we had to pay that. That's why.
I also encourage students who are interested in careers, mechanics, architects.
True.
Oh my goodness! Electricians,
Exactly.
plumbers.
Yes.
We need them.
Yes.
We need them, and that also is free training through apprenticeships.
Absolutely.
Everybody.
Because many times when I'm talking to the youth, as a big brother to them, and I tell them, imagine everybody is a doctor. Imagine everybody is a lawyer. Who is going to cook for us?
My kids like to work with their hands.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And who is going to do our plumbing? Who is going to do sanitation? Each of us, we have a mission to accomplish in this world. We're here, and we have to accomplish a mission, and we have to have the right tool. And people like you, Scott, are working very hard to make sure that our next generation have the right tool.
It's my honor. It really is. It's my honor. Thank you so much.
Thank
you, Steve.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, see, 30 minutes, it flew away
It did.
so fast.
It did. Yes, it did.
So, I would like you to, this is your camera, please say whatever you like in your heart.
Well, I guess I'm a natural-born teacher. I was a Spanish teacher before I was a administrator in the schools. I love teaching. I love education. And my life's work is to make sure that our students and their parents, I always say their parents have to be well-educated too, to understand how to raise their kids in the right way to be college-bound or career-bound. And I just hope that people would give me the chance to win my 3rd term and my last term on LAUSD. I know I'll continue doing an excellent job. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you,
Thank
Scott.
you.
Thank you. So you mentioned very, very important point. Teachers, they're not magicians. they can only do such much. Parent, teacher, and student, this triangle
absolutely
should work together harmoniously.
That's right.
Because if a parent has a concern, they should be free to come in. There should not be any barrier.
That's right.
No language barrier.
That's
no,
right.
You know,
or education barrier.
Or education
Some of my
barrier.
parents maybe cannot help their children with calculus or algebra, but they can come to school and we can direct them to tutoring for calculus. So the parents are very important.
Yes.
Very important.
Important. And thank you. And therefore, I'm going to go on and say in Armenian, Սիրելի հերոստատիտող բարեկամներ, ինչպես տեսակ, ես այսօր իմ հյուրս էր Սկատը, իսկական, այսին ամբողջ անական անունը ասեմ, Scott M. Schmerelson, եւ ինքը հարաճիգա ընտրությունները որ պիտի լան ճիշտ է 2024-ին է, բայց ուզեցի ես ոչ թե որ անմիջապես ընտրություններն առաջ կանչել իրեն որբեսի տեսնեք, այլ ուզեցի խոսել, որտեղ շնորհակալություն կուզեի հայտնել ձեր կողմից նաեւ առաջինը, որ ինքը եւ իր աշխատակիցները այս տարվա սկսյալ բոլոր Los Angeles ոչ թե այսինքն Glendale-ում կար, Burbank-ում կար, Pasadena-ում կար, բայց Los Angeles Unified-ին մեջ ամեն ապրիլ 24 այս տարվան սկսյալ դպրոցները ազատ են լինելու, որբեսի երեխաները սովորեն թե ինչ կնշանակի հայ մշակույթ, հայ քեղարվեստ, հայ պատմություն։ Եվ մենք սկատի պես մարդիկ պետք ունենք եւ ձեր կողմից ես շնորհակալություն հայտնեցի իրեն եւ կուզեմ անպայմանորեն այդ North Hollywood-են, այդ Valley-են մինչեւ երբ որ ընդրա այդ թերթիկը կհասնի ցեզի, պիտի խնդրեմ որ միշտ հիշեք սկատի անունը։ So that was my message in Armenian.
Thank you. I'm sure it was a good one.
It came from my heart.
I can tell. I can tell. Thank you.
So thank you very much. And please promise me something.
Yes.
Because this was not, this is what I said in Armenian. This is not something has to do with election. Because we asked Scott to come here so we can say thank you for his work, for his, all this work that also we, as Armenians, we gained from his hard work, Artsakh resolution, April 24 resolution. But most important, we'd like to see you for next 4 years.
Thank you, Steve. And I want to thank the parents for trusting us with their children's education. That's very important. Very important to us. They trust us.
Yes. So, այսպեսով սիրելի հերոստատիտող բարեկամներ, կավարտենք մեր այսօրվա ելույթը, կցանկանանք ձեզ բոլորիդ բարի աշխատանք, բարի կյանք, մայր հայրենիքին, բայց ծար երկինք եւ կանաչ ճանապարհ։ Ցտեսություն, մինչեւ մյուս շաբաթ։